Hello. Okay, are we here? Are we ready to go? Okay, is my mic? Nope, I muted myself. Hello, and welcome to the 4th anniversary episode of For the Love of History podcast. And I am so excited and I am so nervous, but we're ready to go. I'm ready to do it. It's going to be so fun. We've got our list of questions right here. We're going to wait a few minutes and just chit chat and drink our water before we get started so that more people can arrive. I'm very nervous. I always write a very in-depth script for each podcast episode. So doing things live and off the cuff is it's kind of nerve-wracking for me. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, Wigwama. Hello. I love that name. That's a great name. I'm so happy you are here. Thank you for joining. We're going to get started probably in a few minutes. So, yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments. And yeah, where is everybody listening from? I'm excited to know. What time is it for you? Where are you? What time zone? I guess that also includes time. I'm not very smart this morning. I need to drink a little bit more caffeine. Wisconsin, the U.S., Raleigh, North Carolina. Two of my absolute favorite people on the internet, Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning, which if I could be on an episode of Good Mythical Morning, I might die. They're also from North Carolina. So yay. Oh, we have more North Carolina people. Oh, hi, Lauren. I'm so excited you're here. We have such an international group of delicious donuts, which is exciting. I never thought, well, we'll get into that. What I never thought would happen with this podcast. So yeah, we've got waffles. Let me see if I can move the laptop. There she is. She's here with us right over on the side. She is joining us for the live recording. So maybe while we're waiting for other people, I'll get started in like 2 minutes to give people a chance. But let me give you a little tour of my art wall here. So this is the wall that shows up in all of my videos. I do all of my filming in front of this wall, and there are so many cool art pieces here. This, I don't know if you know, but cows are my absolute favorite animal. And this is like a 150-year-old scientific cow drawing from Germany that I found in a random flea market 2 years ago, I think. And then this one is a painting done by my brother, who's a tattoo artist. And then at that same antique market, but a few years earlier, I found this picture. It's a postcard, actually, of high school girls in Japan practicing to fight with swords in World War II. And then this is a postcard from a museum. This is a ukiyo-e print it's a reprint from a famous ukiyo-e artist who went to the Love District, the Love Quarters, and took a bunch of drawings of courtesans and stuff like that. And so that's where I got this in Kyoto. A teacher from my school that I taught at 2 schools ago made this for me. It's the kanji for road, because I got married and he was like, you're going on a new road, a new path. So this is your new path. And I absolutely love it. This cool little flower here was made by my brother's coworker, Thomas, who's a very talented artist and tattoo artist. Another postcard. I love postcards from museums. They're so great. This one, I had a flower calendar and I really liked this picture. So that's why I have it. Another piece of art from my brother right here. Oh, a delicious donut. A history BFF sent me this. It's so sweet. It's actually from an artist that I follow on Instagram. So, so, so talented. Yeah, so it's a postcard from a delicious donut. And then this one is Suzurang, which is a white coral bell, which is my mom's favorite flower. And a teacher made it for me. And then this Van Gogh? No, that's not Van Gogh. Who is that? That's not Van Gogh. Is it Van Gogh who did the sunflowers? I don't remember. Anyways, this one is a watercolor painting. Van Gogh. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. This is a little watercolor that looked exactly like Morty. It has the two different colored eyes and everything. We found it in a little flea market in Okinawa. And then here's another postcard from an artist that I don't remember the name of, but that's the art wall. And I love this art wall. And it's in every single one of my videos. And yeah, it's such a cool collaboration of different things given to me and things that I've bought myself. And I just love it. I just love it so much. But okay, we're at the 5-minute mark. So I thought we should get started with this live, this 4-year anniversary. First of all, I just want to say thank you for being here for 4 years. Um, there's new history BFFs, there's OG history BFFs who have been here for since the very beginning. And the people who, comment often or say things like send me messages, I keep a lot of the messages with, it might sound creepy, but I put it in my imposter syndrome folder. So anytime you've sent me something really sweet or telling me something that moved you in an episode, just know that it's been screenshotted and it's in a folder, an album on my phone. So I just really appreciate everybody being here. So yeah, it's the 4th anniversary of For the Love of History podcast. I started this podcast during the pandemic because I was a teacher and my class schedule got cut basically in half. And I missed teaching history. I'd been teaching English for 4 years at that point. I'd been living in Japan for 4 years and started recording the very first episode. There is an episode out there that exists on my old iPad. Ted's here. That has never been released. Maybe someday I'll release it. But I recorded that first one on my iPad. And do you know what I did for like in between sections music? I went on YouTube and just recorded on my phone copyright free music and then just played it in the middle of the recording. I didn't even have a mic. I used the mic on my laptop. So that's how the very first episode started. The very, very first episode, not the Turkey God one. Then I sent that episode to a few of my friends. I sent it to my mom. I showed my now husband, then boyfriend, and I asked them, do you think people would listen to this? Do you think people would be interested in the things that I had to say? And, they were all like, yeah, I think so, just give it a try. And I did. And here we are 4 years later. So I couldn't have imagined it going this way. And I'm so thankful. So for today's live Q&A, there are a bunch of questions. And thank you to everybody who sent in questions, who messaged me questions. So I've sectioned them off into 4 groups. So we've got history questions, we've got podcast questions, Japan questions, and then personal questions. And if at any time you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. And I'm happy to answer them. So let's get started off with some history questions. So the first one is, what is your go-to history fact that you find yourself telling over and over again? And I have 2, actually. The first one is that women were samurai, obviously. If you have been a delicious donut for any amount of time, you know my obsession with samurai women and telling people that samurai women existed and they were super badass. So that's the first thing that I always tell people. And the second history fact that I love to tell people is that when Portugal came to Japan, before it was fully opened by Matthew Perry in the late 1860s, uh, they came and brought guns and trade and food as well, specifically castelas, the Portuguese like castella cakes. And when Tokugawa Ieyasu, the last shogun, the last unifying shogun of Japan, kicked out all of the Portuguese, he had them take everything except their guns and their castella cakes. So to this day in Japan, castella is one of the most popular desserts. It's so funny. They were like, take your religion, take your priests, take your trade, get out of here, but leave those little sweet cakes. We really love those sweet cakes. So that's one of my favorite historical facts to tell people that even when religion is kicked out of a country, a lot of times the culture keeps the food, and I love that. I love that fact so much. So that's one of my favorite history facts to tell people. And then the second question is the most interesting women in history, which is a hard question for me because there's so many really interesting women all throughout history. I think Hatshepsut, we've done an episode on her. So I think I might limit this question to just people who we've done episodes on. Hatshepsut, absolutely super, super cool lady. Very, very interesting. She has some of the most like prolific building projects in Egyptian history. And we almost lost her to history, and we don't know why. We don't know why her son destroyed all of her effigies, pictures of her, and we don't even know if it was her son, which there's so much mystery surrounding her story. And even though she was such a cool and amazing and just a very good leader. So, oh, we've got people coming in from Portugal. Hi, Rita. Hello. Hello, Angel. So happy you guys are here. Yeah, so Hatshepsut, love her. Another one is Murasaki Shikibu. One huge beef that I have with Japanese history is that women's names weren't recorded, just like at all, during the Heian period. So like this, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget this. During like the 400s to 500s, women's names just weren't recorded all the way up into, I believe it was the 1500s. I'll have to check on that, but I think it was the 1500s. Women's names just weren't recorded. They had their honorific name and then whatever title that was given to them. So if they were a writer, then they were given the title of writer, whatever their dad's name is. And the woman, Murasaki Shikibu, who arguably wrote the first novel, not the first like epic poem, but the first novel, The Tales of Genji. Her name is not Murasaki Shikibu. We don't know what her actual name was. And I think she's such a fascinating character because she not only wrote one of the first novels, if not the first novel in history, but she also created a brand new alphabet in Japanese. So in Japanese, there's 3 alphabets. You have kanji, like right here, that come almost directly from the Chinese language. And then we have katakana, which is used for mostly foreign words, and it's very like sharp. And then there's hiragana, which is created and developed by court women during the Heian period because they weren't technically allowed to write in kanji. Kanji was only allowed for men and high class men. But yeah, that's a whole side tangent that my ADHD brain was about to jump onto. But Murasaki Shikibu is one of my favorite women from history, and she's very interesting. I also think there's like Lo Zhen, who is an incredible historical figure. Zheng Yisao, who is the pirate lady, the Chinese pirate lady. Who else is there? So many people. Tomoe Gozen, who is a really badass samurai warrior woman. There's just so many interesting women all throughout history, and it's really unfortunate that we don't know their full names. It's just very sad. So, whoa, we have more people from Portugal. Hello, Portugal. Whoa, how did so many delicious donuts come from Portugal? I'm not mad about it. I just want to know how you heard about For the Love of History all the way in Portugal. That's so cool. All right. So the next question is, let me get a drink of water first. I'm talking so much. If you haven't drinking any water today, please take a sippy sip break with me right now. Water is so good. Okay. Let's do it. Our next question. So, what is your favorite literature history fact? My favorite literature history fact is so my best friend, Steph. Hello, Steph. Love you so much. She is the only person that I know that knows more like random facts about the most random things ever. And I learned this from her that there was a group of Chinese poets, and they were called the Eight Immortals of the Wine Cup. And they were called this by this very, very alcoholic poet named Li Bao. And he had a smidgen of a drinking problem that caused him to get kicked out of the court like a few times, the Chinese court life a few times, because he would come to court drunk when he was supposed to like entertain people with his poetry, and then he would say some very belligerent things while he was drunk, which never a good idea unless you're like a court jester. Please don't be mean to the royalty if you want to keep your head. And this guy, he kept his head, but only because he ran away. And he wrote some of the most beautiful poetry in like Chinese classical history. But it allegedly he died because he was so in love with the moon that he went out on a boat in the middle of a lake, and he was drinking, of course, and his goal was to write a poem, the most beautiful poem about the moon. And he was looking at the moon in the reflection of the water, and being drunk, he flung himself into the river, or to the lake, I'm sorry, and he drowned because he was drunk, and he just loved the moon so much, and he wrote so many poems about the moon, and called himself and the other great poets of ancient China the Eight Immortals of the Wine Cup, because they would all get drunk together and just write a bunch of poetry, which I think more people should do. You know, have drinks with your friends, write poetry. Why don't we do that anymore? We definitely should do that. Ooh, we've got lots of comments in the chat. Hello, more Portugal. I love it. Oh, Angel Fire says, I absolutely love and appreciate that you highlight women's history. Thank you. I love women's history. There's such a lack in the podcast market for more women's history and world women's history. So it's really fun, and I'm really happy to cover more women's history. It's great. I love it. And thank you for reminding me to drink water. You're welcome. You are welcome. And Maria says, I'm a delicious donut filled with Portuguese soft eggs. Yes, you are. You are a delicious donut with Portuguese soft eggs. Maybe that's a thing that we should have. The different delicious donuts from different countries should have different fillings. I love it. Okay, here we go. And then, oh, Elizabeth, you are right. It is a beautiful way to go. Drowning in the lake because, or the river, whatever body of water he drowned it in, uh, because he loved the moon. But yeah, I like it. But I'm so serious about the thing with the donuts were all filled with different things like American donuts, Portuguese donuts. It's a great idea. Megan, get on it, my friend. And then Devia says, I hope we find a secret library filled with women's history records. We deserve it. We do deserve it. You are right. You are right. So, speaking of more history, we've got more history questions. So, the next one says, the next question is, have you ever, no, I'm sorry. Oh, all right. Brain fart. Let's erase that. If you could visit any time period, what would it be? I would visit the Jomon period in Japan. I would visit the Jomon period, and I have two specific reasons, okay? First specific reason is that in old Chinese historical records, so the Jomon period, let me Google this so I can give you exact dates. Jomon period in Japan. So it's between, why are you doing this to me? Come back. So it's between 14,000 BC and then 800 BC, sometimes 300 BC. Yes. Okay. So it's really, really, really old. This is ancient history in Japan. And it's before written history. There are a few like little turtle shells that have kanji or what looks like kanji on it, but nobody can read them. They're illegible. However, ancient China wrote about Japan, and they were very mean to Japan. And they were mean to one part of Japan, and then they were like super chill with another part of Japan that they often traded with. And the name for this area of Japan was the Epoch of the Queens, or the Land of the Queens. So a lot of historians think that in pre-written history in Japan, it was ruled by women, that Japan was ruled by women. And there is a conspiracy theory among historians that are more forward thinking, I guess. I don't know if forward thinking is the right word for it, but there are these giant burial mounds from the Kofun period and from the Jomon period, I believe. Yeah, the Jomon period and the Kofun period. So ancient Japanese history before written records. We're talking like several thousand years ago. And there's a giant one in Osaka. And the Japanese Archaeological Society refuses to open up that kofun, that tomb, because it's a tomb. And presumably there are remains inside, there's artifacts inside. And there is one school of thought that the first the first empress of Japan is buried inside that kofun. Empress Kimiko. No, Empress. I forget her name. Hold on. What is her name? The mythical empress of Japan. We did an episode on her. Why can I not? Empress Jingu. Okay. So some people think, hello, waffles, that she's buried inside of this kofun, and that if we open up the kofun, it will give clear evidence that the imperial line started with a woman. And very like nationalistic imperialist here in Japan now are they fight super hard against this idea because there's only ever been male like emperors. It's the line goes from father to son, right? It's a paternal lineage. And the whole thing is that Japan has the only unbroken royal lineage in the world. Like that's what the imperialist nationalists kind of cling to. And there was a whole thing about this emperor, this current emperor, he only has daughters. So there was a big to do in parliament in Japan about allowing his oldest daughter to be an empress instead of having a male as the emperor. However, the current emperor's younger brother had a son right when all of this was happening. So Parliament was like, oh, we have a male in the family. It's fine now. So they completely stopped the court proceedings and just went over the princess. And now the emperor's brother's son is going to be the next emperor, even though there has been empresses uh, in Japanese history, and there's been empresses that have passed it down to their daughters before. There is historical precedence for it. But anyways, back to the Kofun. I want to go back in time to really see if there were if Japan was a matriarchal society. So that's the time period that I would travel back to. Long story short, that's the time period that I would travel back to. Yes, Rita, I know. What are they waiting for? Let's open up that thing. I yeah, I want them to open it up. But that is, you're right. It's how horror movies start. So maybe it's a good idea that they don't open it. Okay, Waffles, I love you so much. Thank you. Can you move your body? Okay, great. So that's the time period I would want to go to. The Kofuns are really really cool. They're really really cool. Um Next question is, have you ever hated history? Yeah, I have. I really, really have hated history before. Um, so there's been a few times. I guess what kind of hate? Because when I was a kid, I hated history in that I thought it was boring because I thought that all history was is like American presidents and World War II. That's what I thought history was because that's what it was in school for me, and I just didn't like it. So I guess you could say I hated history at that time. Another time when I have hated history is when I'm trying to find something and I want a, a particular perspective, but either the information doesn't exist anymore because it's been burned or it wasn't considered important enough to preserve, or it was, a time when women weren't allowed to read or write or something like that, and we just have a whole gap when a whole gap of information. We just don't know what people thought or felt or what was going on in their lives. And I hate that's one time when I hate history. Another time when I hate history is when I come across like the Minamata episode where Japan was just poisoning a city and the people were like, excuse me, could you not poison our like main food supply and our water source? That would be great. And like to this day they haven't been compensated for all of the medical issues that they've had. I also hate history when I learn things about like the Manhattan Project where they secretly created the atomic bomb. Like there's moments like that when I have to put whatever I'm doing down, walk away from my computer and just like take a minute. That happened, a lot with the um Why can I not? I'm having a brain fart right now. The episode with the Okinawa cave nurses. That happened a lot. That happened a lot when researching that episode. So yeah, there's moments that I do hate history for sure. For absolute sure. Yeah. So questions. Let's look at the comment section. I love this. I love you being here with me. Um American Public Schools. Oh, hi Mara, how are you? Hello. American Public School history curriculum. It can be awful. Yeah. American public school history curriculum can be awful depending on the school that you go to. But yeah. See, yeah. Yeah. US history from 10 to 12 grades. Yeah, I mean there's some schools that they just do a really great job. Like I had a really wonderful AP anthropology teacher that was great. Wonderful. And then I also had some very not great teachers. It's just a really mixed bag. So, yeah. Have you watched the Minamata movie? Yes. That is actually what inspired the episode in the first place. Rin and I, my husband, we were sitting there on, as one does, trying to find something to watch on the flick of the nets. And we saw Johnny Depp and a very famous Japanese actress, and we were like, what are these two doing together? And then Rin read the title and was like, we have to watch this. We have to watch this right now. So we did. The two of us absolutely sobbed through the whole thing, fully sobbed through the whole movie. If you haven't watched the movie, I won't spoil it for you. If you're in a place to watch something very sad and that fills you with like righteous anger, that's a great movie. If you're not in a place that you feel like you can just cry, don't watch it. Please don't watch it. But yeah, the Minamata movie is it's very good. Yeah, there's so much. Let's go back to the comments. There's so much the US didn't even touch. Yeah. Agree. Yeah, I know. A lot of people don't start liking history until they're adult. Oh, geez, Ted. I'm sorry. Scared the crap out of me. Oh, hello. Say hello to Ted. Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Oh, you're really lucky you had an amazing global history teacher in your freshman year of high school. Oh, I love that. I'm so glad that you had a good teacher. Yay. Oh, awesome. Archaeology was amazing, though. I love seeing all of these history lovers in the comments. Like, oh, it's so great. Ted agrees about the American curriculum. Yeah, she does. She truly does. Ted is very excited about this. Ted says hi back, everybody. Okay, so next question. Best history fact about the place you were born. I was born in Salina, Kansas. The teeniest, tiniest little town. Kansas girl, right here, okay? But only for 4 years. If you haven't heard, my dad was in the military and we moved around a lot. And so I only lived in Kansas for 4 years. And the most interesting thing about Salina, Kansas is like we had a huge cattle industry, which maybe is where my love of cows comes from. And then Salina, Kansas was a post for people during like westward expansion. And it was also a base, like some sort of base during World War II. Yeah, but it's a teeny tiny town. Yeah, so that's about as interesting as it gets in Salina. I do love that I'm from Kansas. However, I do not love the fact that my whole life people are like, "Wee, Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore." I know I'm not in Kansas anymore. Anyways, favorite. Next question is favorite history book. I'm so sorry if you can hear the sirens outside. Uh, it has been raining solid for like 4 days here, and they're doing a lot of evacuations up in the mountains. So if you hear the sirens, I'm so sorry. I am fine. This is not an evacuation area. We're at a higher elevation, so we're totally okay. But I just wanted to let you know. Yeah. So back to this favorite history book. Okay. Oh, have you had Brahms ice cream? I have had Brahms ice cream. I love it. Yes, I love Brahms ice cream. It's delicious. If you are ever in the Midwest, I think they sell it in other places other than Kansas, Nebraska as well. I'm pretty sure I had Brahms when I was in Nebraska because I also lived in Nebraska. I'm a very Midwestern kind of gal. It's good. Oklahoma too. Okay, yeah. So it's all over the Midwest. Love it. Okay, so our books, favorite history books. Okay, right over here is my book collection. I've got many a book here, and then I've got many a book in other places. I think one of my favorite history books is this one that my friend Steph, the one I was telling you about earlier, who knows so many facts, she is the greatest gift giver in the entire world. In the entire world, she is gifted at gift giving. And she found this book for me that is no longer in print. And it is a Gods and Heroes. Are you ready? I don't think you're ready for how cool this is going to be. This is a pop-up book. Are you kidding me? Are you serious right now? She got this book for me. And there's all so look at this. Look at this. There's all sorts of things in here that just pop up, and it tells you little history facts about some of the major religions and yeah, time periods throughout history. Look at this one. I think this one is my favorite one. Look. Oh my God, I'm so excited to show this to you. Look at this. Look at this. Where is the camera? Here it is. Do you see this? This is Olympus. I have Olympus in a book. How cool is this? So I think this is one of my favorite history books, even though it is for children. But that's fine. Look at just how detailed this is. Poseidon, that guy, he's up in here. Oh my gosh. Oh, bye, Lauren. See you later. Thanks for coming. Kisses, drink your water. Love you. Okay. Next one. Over here. Look at this. Just eating his children. Look at that guy. So crazy. So yeah, this is one of my favorite history books of all times, even though it is for kids. Yeah, it's so good. Hold on. Let me put this away. Yeah, love this book so much. Another book that I absolutely love is where is it? It is a book on Japanese, like what regular people's life was like during the Edo period. Yes. Voices of Early Modern Japan. Because you know, when you think of the Edo period and the Meiji period, it's like, you know, as much as I love samurai, it's all samurai. And you never really hear about the merchant class who got up to some shenaniganry, okay? So much shenaniganry. And another reason why I love this book, any homeschoolers out there, any teachers out there, or any delicious donuts who are wanting to have like a more, structured way to learn about Japanese history, this is such a good book for you because it's got, okay, so for example, here, it's got the documents, okay? So, forging political orders, laws for the military houses. So, this is the chapter. It has an introduction to the topic. It has things to keep in mind as you read, and then it gives you the documents. You read the actual documents. So you usually have like 2 or 3 documents, sometimes one. If it's really long, it gives you the vocabulary on the side so that you can learn the vocabulary and understand. And then it has the aftermath, the effects of those documents that went into law, went into practice. And then at the very end, it has questions to ask yourself, topics to consider, and then it gives you like a little timeline of things. So this is a really incredible book for self-study, for homeschool. Yeah, Voices of Early Modern Japan. Chef's kiss. 1,000% recommend this book. It's so good. Yeah. So I think those are the 2 that are off the top of my head right now that I can think of. But I love these books. I love those 2 books. Yeah. And then our last history related question of the day, we've got other questions, but the last history one for today is, if you could be tattooed by anyone in history, that book teaches better than most schools. Maria. Anyways, next one. If you could be tattooed by anyone in history, who would it be and what would you be getting? So we have a whole episode on this, the history of tattoos in Egypt. And I would want to get tattooed by the tattoo artist that gave Hatshepsut's priestesses tattoos. So I would want to get the Eye of Horus. I would want to get those little protection, the geometric protection things that they had on their thighs and their arms. Yeah, so whoever did those high priestesses tattoos in Hatshepsut's temple, that's who I would want. Because they just are so beautiful. Yeah. Or if I could like really go back, I would go to the same tattoo artist that tattooed Otzi, the Iceman, because he had tattoos too. So yeah, that's who I would get tattooed by, and that's what I would get. So can you share some images of the tattoos? Yes. I don't know how to do it right here, but I will look it up on my phone and put my phone on the screen. I am very new to this whole live streaming situation, so so give me a moment. So here is this is what the Eye of Horus looks like. And then the tattoos themselves. Let's see if I can find them right now. I'm going to show a mummy just really quick. So if you don't want to see the neck of a mummy, just like look away for a second. I'll tell you when you can look back, just so you know. Okay. I'm going to show the mummy right now. All right. So this is what the priestess's neck looks like. And there's the Eye of Horus right there in the center of her neck. So yeah, they're really, really cool. There's more. There's a bunch more. So, here is one. That's not a mummy. Oh, the mummy is gone, by the way, if anyone looked away. This is what some of the tattoos looked like. So they put them on figures as well. So there's all sorts of like really cool geometric tattoos. Yeah, from Egyptian history. So yes. Okay, we're done with the history portion of the Q&A. Thank you so much. And this is your reminder, drink some water. Because I need some. Whew. I'm not nervous anymore now. This is fun. You're so welcome for the disclaimer. Okay, now we're on to podcast questions. So, yeah, questions related to the podcast. Hi, Charlie and Seb. Welcome. So the first podcast related question is your favorite episode, which is so hard because I have so many favorite episodes. But the one that comes to my mind, like last season, season 7, we had some very, very funny episodes, especially at the end. The Sobek episode and the Rat Trials episode, hilarious. Hilarious. I love Sobek. So I really, really, yes. Yes. Sobek, you're right. You are right. Sobek is my absolute favorite. Mara, I love Sobek. I love Sobek so much. It's my I loved that episode for so many reasons because number 1, how ridiculous is that god? How ridiculous is this crocodile god who sweated out like just sweated out the Nile River. And then with his baby gravy, just like made crocodiles. Just it's so funny. And I think the thing that made it funnier is every single other like YouTube video or like article that I read was so serious. It was so serious. They were like, and Sobek created the Nile from his sweat, and his semen created blah, 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 blah. And the fact that they were so straight faced, I could not handle it. Could not handle it. It was ridiculous. It was so funny. So yeah, no, Sobek is my absolute favorite episode. Sobek is also my Roman Empire. And the Rat Trials is just all around. It's good fun as well. It's a good episode. But yeah, Sobek. I think about him all the time. Maybe too much. Oh my gosh. So next question is which story gave you the most joy and the most pause? Great question. So the story that I think gave me the most joy obviously is Sobek. I love that guy. The most joy definitely was Sobek. And the Empress Baddie, most of the Empress Baddie episodes give me a lot of joy because they are just cool. They're just cool ladies, but a lot of times they end tragically, and I don't like that. But the story that gave me the most pause, the Minamata episode, hated oh my god, that gave me pause. And then the most recent one that I can think of is the Okinawa cave nurses. That was a hard episode for me. A little peek behind the curtain is that I had to record that episode 2 times. Because and in the first recording there was a lot of pauses for like crying, and now that I record video and upload it on YouTube, my face was just so red. So red. So I recorded the episode on one day, and then I looked back at the footage and I was like, I can't upload this on YouTube. I look like a depressed tomato. So I filmed it again and did a lot better the second time. So yeah, that was a tough episode. That was a really, really tough episode. And I heard from many delicious donuts that they couldn't listen or watch right away because they had to be in a place that they were emotionally ready for it. And I get it. I get it. Because that was a tough episode. That was a really tough episode. Yeah. So let's move on to something a little bit more happy. Did you ever imagine that you would get this amazing podcast? No, never. Another little peek behind the curtain about TK over here is that I was bullied relentlessly in middle school. It was not great. It was a very, very bad time. Middle school was awful. And I often got bullied because I just talked too much. I just talked too much. And I asked too many questions. And so, sometimes kids can be mean. So I, you know, for the longest time, um, like I just I wouldn't tell people things. I wouldn't talk, about things that really interested me and excited me because every time I talked about something that I got excited about, people would be like, why are you so excited? Calm down. It's not that interesting." Like, what? How? I don't understand. I just didn't get how other people would be so mean about other people getting excited about stuff because every time someone tells me something that they're excited about, I get excited with them. Um, so I didn't think that for the longest time, I didn't think that would, you know, anybody would want to listen to anything I had to say. So I'm just excited. I'm just excited anytime anybody, wants to listen to little old me, and be excited about things that I'm excited about. And it just makes me so happy that me sharing my love of history can help other people find a love of history and brighten people's day. Thank you guys. You're so nice. You're so sweet. You're gonna make me cry on live. Stop it. Oh my God. I always say it. I'm the single most emotional history podcaster out there, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that. I love it. So we're 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 just emotional. We're emotional little donuts, okay? And we cry and it's fine. Thank you guys for being so nice. Uh yeah. Crazy that you literally, oh, you light up my day. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to read these comments later because they're gonna make me cry. But yeah, I guess to answer the question, I never thought that this would happen. I thought I would do this, while the pandemic was going, just to give me something to do. And then, it would fizzle out and go away. But here we are 4 years later. I'm so happy to be here. And so happy, exactly, to hydrate and learn together. Okay. Now we're on to some questions that are podcast related, but a little bit more on the Instagram side. Um, how did you come up with Sharon? Sharon. If you are not if you're not on Instagram, Sharon is a character that I do, on the History Hotline, a place where you can call in and ask your history questions. And she's a lady from the Midwest, like an amalgamation of all of the Midwest ladies that I knew in my life. And I was a lot a lot of my thoughts come to me, a lot of my ideas come to me right before I'm about to go to bed. And so right before I was about to go to bed, I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have, a place that I could call to ask all my questions? And then I fell asleep. And the next day in the shower, I was like, let me rethink about this thought. And I thought, Midwest, all of the most loving people in my life have that accent. And I thought it would be cool. I thought it would be really cool. And on TikTok and on Instagram, there's a lot of people doing the office lady thing. And I thought it would be really fun to like do my take on, what it would be like to have this person who just knows everything, um like who just knows it all and can answer all your history questions. But it's very very interesting that you say that, Maura, because you say, I will never get over the lore drop that the History Hotline folks can choose their corporeal form. Gertie will be making an appearance soonly, and there's also much more history hotline lore that will be dropping. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of an egregore. If you haven't, Google what an egregore is, and you'll see. I may or may not be writing a fiction book based on Sharon's life on my notes app right now. So yeah, just not making any promises, but Sharon might get some deeper lore soon. She might get some deeper lore soon, because Sharon is Sharon is my I love her. I love her so much. So that's how I came up with Sharon, thinking about her before I went to bed, thinking about her, coming to life in the shower, and then finally sitting down and making her. Yeah. So yeah, you can totally ask a question. Go for it. Ask away, my friend. What would you like to know? I'll take a drink break while you type. If you haven't taken a drink, please take a drink. Drink your water. Full glass should be gone by the end of this episode. Whether the Habib's current for me, I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry. But we'll move on. Okay, so did you? Oh, okay. So I love this question. Did you ever actually have a call where you were like, hold on, I need Sharon right now? Yes, I have. There has been many times that I have been talking to someone, or I've been researching an episode where I was like, I need a Sharon right now. I really wish that Sharon was here and she could answer this question for me, because I just cannot find the answer. I just can't find the answer. So yeah, I also wish that Sharon was a real person. And I also wish that I just had the absolute crazy amount of knowledge that she has. So yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Alrighty, friends. My delicious donuts. Let us move on to the second to last group of questions. So Japan questions. So the first question is, what made you decide to move to Japan? Excellent question. So I moved to Japan. It'll be 8 years in July. On July 17th, I think, is my Japan anniversary. And I moved to Japan right after university. And I was teaching world history at a school, and I got offered a full-time job because the other world history teacher was leaving after being there for 30 years. And I was talking to him, and he was telling me oh, I've been at the same school for 30 years. And me being 20, how was I? 22, I think, at the time. Or about to turn 22, fully had a midlife crisis, a quarter life crisis, I guess, thinking about me being at the same place for 30 years. And I was like, oh my God, what is that even like? What? So little panic. And I panic Googled teaching jobs overseas, because I thought, I'll just teach overseas for a few years, not a big deal. Then I'll come back and then I'll start my career. And I loved Japanese history. That was my area of focus in university. Didn't speak a lick of Japanese. I knew stupid words like daimyo and koku and shogunate and things like that, but I didn't know any actual Japanese words that were helpful to my daily life. But I found the job, and I sold my car, sold all my stuff, packed my life into two suitcases, and then moved to Japan and thought, I'll just be here for 2 years. And I really liked it. And I thought just one more year. And then I thought just it'll be fine. Just one more year. And then I met my husband and now I'm here for the foreseeable future. But yeah, that's how I moved here. And I wanted to move to Japan too, but I'm too scared. Just do it. Just do it scared. I was scared too. Just do it. Just do it scared is my best advice. If there's something that you want to do and you can find a way to do it, but you're scared to do it, just do it scared. Because the scaredness is not going to go away. I still get freaked out all the time. I get so freaked out by doing even like this. I was terrified the first 30 minutes of doing this live, fully freaking out, but doing it scared is my best advice. Yeah. Thank you. I try to be brave. Okay. So next question about Japan. Common misconceptions you can debunk about Japan. Sorry, I honestly thought you were born there. Thank you. It's so funny that you say that actually, because I was just in South Korea with my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and they don't speak any English. We only speak Japanese, and there were people there. The people there, like at restaurants and stuff, asked me, "Are you Japanese?" I was like, "Nope, I'm not, but thank you so much for the compliment. I really appreciate it." But anyways, common misconceptions you can debunk about Japan. Gosh, there's so many. The first one that I can think of right now is that Japan is very technologically advanced. I am so sorry to break it to you, but Japan still fully uses fax machines. And if you're under the age of 25, maybe you don't know what a fax machine is, but basically you call it, you have a phone number and you can print send things to people. It's wild. So fax machines are still very much used in Japan. I think Rin uses a fax machine at least 3 times a week to fax things to different clinics because he works at different hospitals and stuff. And there was, you have to print out everything. There's no digital documentation at all. When Ren and I were when we were submitting for my my marriage visa, we had to print out our text messages. Print out pictures to prove I'm not joking. I wish I was joking. We had to print out pictures and we had to print out everything and fax it to City Hall. We had to fax it to City Hall. And yeah, it's crazy. So even though you'll see it on Instagram and TikTok all the time, this robot served me sushi in Japan. No. That is in Tokyo and Tokyo only. Tokyo is not the same as the rest of Japan. And Tokyo isn't even that advanced. People come here thinking that they can use cashless payment. In a few places you can use cashless payment, but Japan is still very much a cash-based society. And fax machines and flip phones. People still very much use flip phones here. Lots of people's work phones are flip phones. Rin had a flip phone for the first 2 years that he was working at his company, I believe it was. Yeah, flip phones, Motorola flip phones and fax machines. It's wild. I can't. It's so crazy. And then another common misconception is that the only fun places to go for traveling in Japan are Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. And while those places are wonderful to go to, I definitely like recommend different places. If you want to get the Tokyo experience, get the Tokyo experience. It's great. It's wonderful. You know, there's no place on earth like it. But if you want to get like traditional Japanese, like if you want that without the crowds of Kyoto, then Nara is a much better place to go. Coming to Shikoku, the whole island, is a fantastic place to go. It's much cheaper, much quieter. There will be no tourism, but there's also less English, but there's not a lot of English going on in Kyoto anyways. So yeah, those are my recommendations in terms of travel. I don't know how we got on that topic, but there's a question in the chat. How is the working culture? Ooh, working culture in Japan. So this is another misconception that Japan is a very productive country because of the long working hours, but it's actually the opposite. Production is so low, like productivity is very low in Japan because the working hours are more important than the work done in those hours. So like it's in very like traditional companies, which is how Rin's work used to be. It was considered lazy or rude to go home, to leave work before your boss did. But your boss gets paid more than you do to be there for longer. And drinking culture is really big here. So like going out drinking with your coworkers after work and stuff, which is absolutely wonderful. But sometimes it can reach like quite an unhealthy level sometimes with like mandatory drinking parties that you have to go to that like affect your uh, performance at work or like your levels at work and stuff. So it's a huge problem right now in Japan. There's also black companies. There's also a word for death via work too much. It's called kodokushi. And yeah, it's death from overwork, which does happen. So yeah, work life balance is still something that many Japanese companies are working on and trying to get figured out. So yeah, it's pretty tough sometimes. But yeah, next question. How did you learn Japanese? So when I first moved here, I was living in another city in Matsuyama, actually in the same prefecture that we're living in now. And I did one-on-one classes once a week for an hour and a half with this absolutely wonderful 80-year-old woman who was so nice. She didn't speak well, she spoke a little bit of English at the very beginning to like help me out. But we did one-on-one lessons and we started out with the basics. I learned hiragana first, and then I learned katakana. And then we slowly started on kanji, like very basic kanji. And I wonder if I have. Ooh, yes, I do. Right here. So one of my favorite books, like drill books for learning kanji, is this one, Unko, the Unko kanji drill book. Unko means poop. This is the poop man. And every single page, you learn the different kanji and you learn how to read. And all of the example sentences have to do with poop, which is so funny. It's hilarious. So I use Unko kanji drill. I use, oh gosh, let me look at my apps. I use Tsurukame. You know what? I should probably make a list. If anybody would like a list of the things that I use to learn Japanese, please let me know and I will make that list. I don't use Duolingo. Duolingo is not great for Japanese learning. It's fantastic for other learning. There is Lingo Deer. There is Easy Japanese called Today, Todai. And then there's Bunpo, Bunpo, Bunpo. Um, yeah. So, okay, it seems like we have some interest in some Japanese learning resources. So I will make that. I will make that list. But it's the best way to do it is you know, just get started with whatever you have right now. I would definitely learn the hiragana and the katakana first. Yeah, Duolingo is not the best for Japanese. It's so good for other languages, but not the best for Japanese. I will compile that list as soon as I can and give it out to you. But in the meantime, whatever I would start learning hiragana, katakana first. Don't really worry about kanji quite yet until you get those down, because a lot of things can be covered with just the hiragana and katakana. And if you want to get started on kanji, I would use the Tsuru app. This one right here, Tsuru app, um, to get started with kanji. So I will make that list. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's kind of how I learned Japanese, and it really really helped after Rin and I started dating because he would help me, and then the thing that helped the most is watching TV with Japanese subtitles. That was really helpful. Watching TV with Japanese subtitles and talking to Rin's family, and talking to the cats. Just getting as much output as you possibly can is really helpful. If you're just like talking to your plants or talking to yourself at home, that's really, really good as well. So, yeah. Favorite Japanese TV shows? Well, right now, Shogun, but please don't use that for for learning Japanese because it's really old. Um, Favorite Japanese TV shows. Animes are really good. Like I love Jujutsu Kaisen, I love Demon Hunter, but for like regular conversation, there's a drama that came out a while ago. I think it's on Netflix. It's called I Love You, and that's really really good. I put it in the chat. Another one. What is the name? I can only think of them in Japanese. Hold on. Japanese dramas. To the there it is. This one right here. I love dramas. So there's one, Tell Me That You Love Me. I'm such a cornball. That's another really good drama, because it's like spoken, like regular people conversations. So yeah, I Love You, Tell Me That You Love Me. Those are ones that I've been watching recently. I really like them. So for regular like conversation, these are really good. Alrighty, let's see. Is the new tourist ban affecting you or other teachers in Japan? Ooh, this is a really good question. So Kyoto has banned tourists in some areas, because of interactions with some maiko and geisha, with tourists like touching them or taking pictures of them or just stopping them from getting to work. It hasn't affected me at all, and I actually think that the ban is good in some ways, because the ban sounds very like sensational, and it has been sensationalized a lot. But the ban is basically barring tourists from residential areas or from working areas, where tea houses are. So it's not a ban of Kyoto altogether. It's not a ban of Gion altogether. It's just a ban of those areas, that have the working geishas, the working maikos. So it hasn't affected me at all. And I don't think it's affected any other foreign people that live here. At least not that I know of, and I don't think it'll even put a dent in tourism in Kyoto. Kyoto's insane for tourism. So I think it's going to be totally fine. And our last Japan related question is: has Japan changed their view on tattoos? Yes and no. So, um, when the Olympics came in 2020, yeah, which ended up being 2021, a lot of onsens, bathhouses, relaxed their rules on allowing tattoos into the bathhouses. And a lot of hotels relaxed their rules on allowing people into pools that have tattoos. However, it is still pretty common for um, very high end onsens to not allow tattoos. It's slowly changing. And you can see, especially in bigger cities, more people with tattoos. However, it's still technically illegal to get tattoos in Japan if you don't have a medical license, or to give, I'm sorry, excuse me, to give tattoos in Japan if you don't have a medical license. There are some workarounds for the traditional poke and stick tattoos. Um, um, yeah, so there's workarounds for that, but it's still not the best. Oh, I think we have a I'm sorry. Maria asked about your experience as a foreigner in Japan, socializing wise, like having friends and community. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. Sorry, Maria, I missed your comment. So, um, yes, my experience as a foreigner in Japan. So for me, as I do have quite some privileges. As so, I'm a teacher in Japan. I'm an American in Japan. I'm a white lady in Japan. So I do have more privileges than other foreigners in Japan. So my experience, I would say, is not the experience of all foreigners in Japan. There's a large community of Filipino workers that come into Japan to work in the healthcare system. So their experience is going to be way different than mine. There's a lot of foreigners that come in from Indonesia that work in the factories. So their experience is going to be different from mine. Black, brown, and other Asian Americans and Europeans and people from other countries, they're going to have a different experience than I have in Japan. So this is just coming from my perspective as a foreigner in Japan and where I lived. I have only ever lived in really, really small communities, really small towns with a very low foreigner population. So, um, my experience I would say, has been net positive. There have been some instances where people have been not so nice, who've said, like, go home, go back to America or something like that. There have been people that have, like, especially when I was, like, dating, who were not so nice, when I was in on the dating scene. There's sometimes when, I'll be on the train and nobody will sit next to me because they don't want to, which is, fine, whatever. That's not a big deal. But it can be really hard to make friends here, um, because there's just a barrier that's always kind of there. Um, the barrier slowly goes away if you make an effort. You definitely have to be the one to make an effort, to make friends with local people, especially if you're in a small town. And the people that I've made friends with, absolutely wonderful people. And I have great friendships with them, and they've always been really wonderful. It's always difficult to make friends when you're an adult, though. And it's difficult wherever you go to make friends as an adult. So yeah, that's been kind of hard. It's been hard to make friends here because it is such a rural community, there's not really anybody close by. And I work from home. So it's like hard to make friends that way. But yeah, yeah. But my experience on the whole has been very positive. People are very nice. Um, yeah, it's been good. There's a lot of homesickness that goes along with being in Japan, especially in a rural place, because I don't have access to all of the things that I would, let's say, if I was living in Osaka or even a bigger city like Nagoya or something like that. Um, yeah, so my experience is a little bit different, but it's been good. On the whole, it's been very good. I'm sorry if that's a very vague vague answer. If you have more specific questions, please let me know. But yeah, next question. Oh, Angel Fire says, "What is dating like as a foreigner in Japan, and how does it work?" Date well, my dating experience was very different because I met Rin, my now husband, after only like not even 4 months, 3 months of being on the dating apps. So pretty much everybody does dating apps here. There's like dating apps for very serious people, casual people. There's all sorts of dating apps. And if you don't speak Japanese, it can be more difficult. Um, but that's, with anywhere you go, if you don't speak the local language, it's going to be more difficult for you to date. So there are some people that are out there exclusively only wanting the foreigner experience, which fine, whatever. If that's your thing, cool. But if that's not what you're looking for, it can kind of be hard. So that's why the more serious dating apps are a better option if you want to get into a serious relationship. So yeah, Rita, you're right. Dating sucks no matter where you are, kind of. It's just really hit or miss. I met my husband, Rin, on Tinder, which of all places, so random. Yeah, didn't want a serious relationship, found him, and I was like, okay, well, I guess this is it for me. Um yeah. So dating can be tough, but dating can be tough anywhere you go. Um, it's just all about, it's kind of a numbers game, dating just wherever you go. But yeah, great question. So thank you for asking. Alrighty. I think that's it for the Japan questions. We only have two more questions, my delicious donuts. So the first personal question is how you met your husband. Kind of answer that one. Um, through Tinder. That's how we met. And it was great. He was after a month, we were both like, I like you, you like me. All right, perfect. And we've been together ever since. Another question is, um, does your husband like For the Love of History? And also, does he like history? So, Rin my mom and Rin are the two biggest supporters that I have. They always listen to every episode. They always, give me advice when I ask for help or support on something, they're always there. So Rin, and anytime I talk about Japanese history, I always double check it with Rin, even if it's a short little reel. I double check it with him because I never want to say anything insensitive or incorrect or something like that. And I often just check with him um, about lots of things, just to get his opinion on it. Because he isn't a history lover. He actually doesn't really like history at all. But now that we've been together for so long, he really enjoys history now. And when we first started going on trips together, I would be like, let's go to a museum. And he'd be like, okay, let's go to a museum. And I would be reading all the plaques very carefully. And slowly he would like come over and be like, what does that plaque say? What is that plaque talking about? And then now he goes and reads all the plaques with me. And we go to different historical places and we do it together. And he really enjoys history now. And he's like, he was He's really into it now. He really likes history. So yeah, it's great. How was Rin's check about the kappas? Oh my gosh. The kappa is an ever appearing presence in my life. I love the kappa so much. We talk about the kappa a lot. If you don't know, the kappa is a yokai that steals your soul through your booty hole. Um, and we often talk about the kappa. The kappa is our conjoined, not conjoined, is our joint is our joint Roman Empire. We talk about it all the time. Like, how was he created? Why does he steal your soul through your butthole? Like, who created this? I have so many questions and not enough answers. But yeah, Rin, to answer your question, Rin loves For the Love of History. He is the single most supportive person. I'm actually so grateful for him for so many reasons because we moved here, there's no international schools, so I am working online. I don't know if you know this, but I still have my full-time job as a teacher online, but I was able to cut back my hours because of him, and he's really really supporting my dream of like making this my actual job, making For the Love of History the thing that I do full time. Um, so he always encourages me to continue because there has been times when I was like, I just want to quit. I just don't want to do this anymore. But he always knows just what to say to like help me come back and be like, okay, yeah, no, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep trying. So he's great. Long story short, he loves For the Love of History. And he is a delicious donut. And yeah, we do. We stan Rin. He's great. And what grades do I teach? So I've taught so many grades. So I used to be a high school. My first ever job was a teacher at a seventh grade teacher, world history. I was a world history teacher for seventh grade. And then I taught high school, sophomore, junior, senior. That's 10, 11, 12, 12th grade. And then I taught second grade and then I taught fourth grade. So I've taught so many grades. But ooh, Maria, I don't want to skip your question again. Is there still spots for Egypt? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. There are still spots for Egypt. We've got 10 spots that are still available. And if you would like to go, this is an actual trip that we're going on, like actually going to Egypt, not a virtual thing. You and I and me and all the delicious donuts that are going will be there together to go on the trip. Of course, I will upload things, on Instagram, on YouTube for the delicious donuts that aren't able to join us. But yeah, it's still open. Maria, if you want to go, send me a message on Instagram later and I'll send you the information. And that goes the same for anybody out there who would like to go or who is interested in finding out more. So you just let me know. So okay, we are on our final question. My delicious little donuts. The final question is what skills as a historian are you most proud of? And what advice do you have for budding history besties? I love this question so much. So, as a historian, I hesitate to call myself a historian sometimes, even though I have a degree in history and that I'm trained. That I paid a lot of money for that degree. I still find it hard to call myself a historian sometimes. And that's on imposter syndrome, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. Um, thank you, Mari. You're so sweet. I am, in fact, a historian. I have to keep telling myself, I am a historian. I'm a historian. I'm a historian. And as a historian, the skills that I think are the most valuable is research and storytelling. So you can be the best researcher in the world, but unless you know how to tell that information that you have collected, there's like, I don't want to say like what's the point, but it's if your point for your research is not just to keep it to yourself, but to tell it to other people, you have to know how to tell a story. And there is a place for academic, very serious writing that is very important. It's very, very important. But I think there's also a very important niche of history that isn't being explained to people. Things are too academicized. So I don't think that's a word. But I think making history accessible is very important. So, as a historian that also has a focus in education, I think I have a unique perspective of being able to relay information um, in an understandable way. So, I am proud of myself for that. And it's uncomfortable for me to toot my own horn, but toot toot like a little bit. You know, I think I do have a a good way of telling history. I think I do. Look at me backtracking on my statement of confidence. But we've got some comments in the chat. As a scientist, my mentor gives me the same advice about research and storytelling. Yes, yes. It allows people to be more curious. Yeah, accessible in any field. History, science and history for the win. Making it accessible is so important. So I think those are the two skills that I'm most proud of. Yeah, I'm really, really, really proud of my storytelling and my research abilities. You evaluate primary sources and answer questions about history, therefore, historian. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, yeah. And the last question is advice for budding history besties. Ask the questions, ask all the questions, just ask them. If people are mean to you and are like, why don't you know that? Like a little bit, screw those people. And by a little bit, I mean a lot, screw those people, because ask the questions. What is learning if not asking? So I would also say never assume that you know something, or never assume not that you know something. Never assume that your audience knows something. But when you're explaining something, don't be condescending about it. Just explain it in a clear way. And I would, yeah, just advise you, if you are wanting to be a historian that also teaches, try to keep the life in history. There's a time for being analytical and there's a time for being emotional. And I think that people separate the two, but I think that you can do both. I think that you can be both analytical about a historical event and also emotional about a historical event. And I can't remember, but one delicious donut commented earlier that emotion is not a weakness. And I 1,000% agree. I think a lot of times history is really sterilized, and we take out the human aspect of history. So for any budding history besties out there, try to keep the humanity in history, and yeah, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the ups. Enjoy the downs. Enjoy the process of learning. That's my best advice for any budding history besties. So, yeah. Anyways, that's all I got, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Old history BFFs, new history BFFs, delicious donuts, and everybody in between, casual listeners, people who tune in to every episode. I wouldn't be here without you, and I just appreciate you so incredibly much. Do you know how much I love you? Because I don't think you do, because I really do. and I care about every single one of you. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed today. Um, yeah, thank you. Just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for my final thought for today, because we have to end each episode with a final thought. My final thought for today is just go out there and learn something new today. Get stuck into a little history rabbit hole, something that you've been thinking about recently. Get stuck into it. Get yourself on a wiki page and have a good time. Drink your water, do something that makes you happy. And I will see you actually very, very soon for the live history quiz. So if you're interested in that, you can I'll put it somewhere. I'll put it in the description of this live after it goes up. If you would like to join us for the live history quiz, you can go on. Oh, it's also linked in my bio on Instagram, so you can sign up for that. And I will see you later. I love you so much. Bye. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye.